How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.
Insane. The life of a Punjab Kings fan. Can't defend 246. Can defend 111. New records at New Chandigarh as Punjab Kings bowlers have perhaps just set their season alight. Defending champions fall short by 16. Bowled out for 95. 20 wickets have fallen with just over 200 runs scored today. Unbelievable game. On Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Riggin for Timeout. Nobody saw this coming. Not Ian Bishop, not Ambati Rayudu, not Matt Rawler, not myself, not 95% of the cricket world or the cricket watching world could have seen this coming. Our predictor had 85 or 86% for KKR. No numbers matter on a day like this, but on a day like this, we begin with a bowler. The emotions of Ian Bishop. Describe what you've just witnessed, Bish.
I think we need more time. I didn't see it coming. You know, you always ask me whenever there's a run chaser, and you always ask me, is this going to be easy? Is this going to be hard? And I always say, nothing is ever easy, and you laugh at me. And tonight was a rare time I said, if I say nothing is going to be easy, you will laugh me out of the studio. And I went KKR to win it for sure. And they capitulate. So I want to give a lot of credit to Yuzvendra Chahal for the way he bowled tonight. At one point, he didn't bowl to a left-hander a couple of games ago. Then he got Rinku Singh out. He came up big. Marco Jansen using the new ball tonight was a blessing in disguise. I don't know that KKR should have lost this game after Raghuvanshi got 30-odd. People looking at this, Ambati and Matt and Virgil, must have been a minefield that they were playing on. It wasn't. It wasn't. I don't know. It'll take some time. I don't know how KKR can recover from this.
Yuzvendra Chahal has not bowled his 4 overs how often? Has not bowled to left-handers how often? What a champion spell that is to break the back of KKR's extremely long batting order.
I think, credit to him because he's come out and is bowled to get a wicket. That is what we don't see that often in the IPL. Bowlers don't bowl to get a wicket. Bowlers bowl to defend. When you bowl to defend, and you're only hoping that you would get a wicket. But this is one instance where you had no choice.
Yes, so the situation with him
demanded you to bowl those wicket-taking deliveries. And batsmen, I don't think are prepared to defend or play with a straight bat anymore because you don't practice that. You don't practice that anymore in T20 cricket. So you see, you see so much.
I don't know how we can laugh though.
He's laughing. This is hilarious. I don't know why you're not laughing. Because good old Andre was dejected. Are you feeling his pain right now?
No, Andre Russell was defending today.
Yeah.
No, I'm not attached. I can separate myself from West Indians and West Indies playing.
Oh, of course.
Stuff.
I meant that.
No. I'm just contextualizing it. It's hard to sum up that situation. They're chasing 111. First of all, I think Punjab will say, and I'm hoping Shriyat says it up, it wasn't a 111 pitch. We should have gotten more. We had a bad day with the bat. And then KKR come, give Yuzvendra Chahal his credit, but to not get 111 on that surface, I'm confused.
As are we all, as might be the KKR dugout.
No, that's what even in the mid-show we spoke about our instincts as a player, as a batsman.
Yes.
So you need to have at least 2 or 3 instincts to a given ball. You cannot just have one. I mean, instinct I know is momentary, but you need to have different instincts. I mean, you need to develop that over time by practicing.
This is a conversation that extends to both batting units today.
Of course.
So we will have that chat. Just start off. Whatever you want today.
I mean, you're coming in, walking out. You've lost so many wickets. Russell is at the non-striker's end. First ball, Chahal bowls. You try and sweep him.
You're talking about the Ramandeep wicket.
Ramandeep wicket. Where do you see that? How do you see that?
But that, again. Okay.
What about And Matt, sorry, I want to hand over to you.
No.
No, don't. Just carry on. He's got nothing today. He's been saying for the whole
Numbers can't
week,
explain
Chahal
this.
should not be bowling left-handers.
But Rahane not reviewing.
Big moment.
Oh, huge. Huge.
And hard to explain as well in the context of 50-odd runs to win at that stage, with 2 reviews left. You think it's a shot to nothing, but he's decided against it. I was actually thinking back when the wickets were falling there that these 2 teams played a game last year, where they were at Eden Gardens, where there were, I think, 523 runs scored. Tonight we've seen 206 for the loss of 20 wickets in just over 30 overs. It's amazing how pressure. And I think it was pressure rather than just surfaces. Obviously, there's a difference in conditions between the two, but amazing how big a role pressure can play. And that's something that I think the numbers will always struggle to explain, is the experience that these guys must go through when you're in that dramatic situation of wickets tumbling.
Forget about the players. You saw the pictures there with the crowd, this Punjab supporting crowd, and
Huge.
how... Didn't that tell us a lot about the passion and the following and the tension? And you saw Coach Pandit there in the dugout, and he was like... So from both perspectives, I'm kind of happy for the Punjab folks there as well, because they are behind this team at their new venue.
This is Chandrakant Pandit's worst nightmare.
I think the team's worst nightmare if he's the coach and they bat like that.
Because he's of course built his entire reputation of a school of batting that puts a price on your wicket, that plays the situation, that often chastises aggressive shot making, even in the shorter formats. And of course, nothing to say that, that's what he'll be telling his T20 batters or his KKR batters. But yeah, I totally agree with your point on the Punjab's atmosphere there, because it's a franchise we've seen Raidu over the years. They've not been able to generate the same crowd support, home record, environment at the PCA Stadium. They've gone to a new venue where they haven't been successful.
Yeah, they only won once there last season, and even the season before that in Mohali, they only won 1 home game across the entire campaign. So it's huge that they've already had 2 wins.
And for the last few years, they only play about 5 out of 7 home games there. They go to Dharamshala. Now they're playing 4 out of 7 and going to Dharamshala this year. So they only have 1 more home game, but incredible. I want to pick up on pressure, because this is, if there's any day that we can speak to how pressure can spread in the dugout, it is a day like this today. Why Ramandeep top edges that full toss for a sweep? Why Rinku gets beaten, as good as the bowling might be? What does pressure do in these situations from your own experience?
I think what pressure generally does is it changes your thought process. It brings in a fear of failure, fear of getting out. So you start to think about the number of ways you can get out to a ball. That is what spreads in a batsman or in a dugout, where you are anticipating someone getting out, or you are anticipating a good ball, rather than you are thinking, okay, this ball should have been a 6-4. When you're doing well, when you're confident, when things are going well, you are actually anticipating a boundary, a 6, a 4. You're thinking, oh, he should have hit it here, oh, he should have hit it there. But in situations like that, you know that, oh, a googly can get you an LBW, or there's a slip.
It makes you think, if you can correct me if my thought is right, that instead of Ramandeep sort of wanting to hit straight,
Ramandeep just putting his bat there.
Yeah, he's just seen Rinku deceived.
Yeah.
And he thinks, oh, it's drifted, there's drift and it's dipping. So instead what I'll do is I'll just play a little lap here. Instead of even a full toss, normally Ramandeep instinctively should be to hit it hard.
I think
but he can't do that now.
Just to sum it up a little bit more, like we were in that World Cup semi-final. I don't ever speak about this, but just for you, I'll speak about it. 1996, that World Cup semi-final against Australia, we should have won, being in that position. And I found what pressure did for me as a player is that you lose your trend of logical thought. Usually you would go in and you'd assess the situation and go through all your processes. This is what I should do because the pitch is doing this, the pitch is doing that. And you're just blinded from doing that. And you have one thing on your mind because you're focusing on the outcome and you forget to go through your processes. This requires a defensive shot because this might be his last over. And all you're thinking is, I'm going to sweep this. You lose your trend of logical thought.
what should happen in a dugout? I'm not saying it did or didn't happen in the KKR dugout, but what should happen in a dugout to try and arrest the collapse
But
or
at
the
which
chaos?
phase? Which phase? It all happens so fast.
Correct.
So
I mean, no one talks to each other in a dugout at all when wickets fall, or is there too much talking? Oh, you know what? When now you're going in, now don't take him on. Is that a lot of sort of last word? Do people murmur a last word before you go out to say you don't need to hit Chahal, see him out?
No,
that causes confusion.
No, I think these are the games in which the coach has a bigger role, because that small little sentence or a word before a batsman walks in, to give him clarity, like how to get him off.
Clarity, yes.
Get him off that blindness of the consequence. So I think a word or a sentence like it's a wicket where you can take a little bit of time, play straight, good cricketing shots, stitch up a partnership, 10 or 15 runs. Tell Russell that maybe we can see Chahal through and take on the off spinner, or he can play till the 16th over. You hit some good cricketing shots. So I think that's all.
I've seen situations there as well, because it would behoove me if one of the coaches didn't mention something to a couple of guys before they went out to bat. And that pressure, the player says, yes, coach, and it gets out there, and that pressure gets to the player, and he totally forgets the plan that he's supposed to carry out, just goes totally awry. That is what we call pressure.
And also sometimes, what really helps is, dugouts are generally on the ground. But sitting in the dressing room actually helps a lot, because you're not hearing the noise. You're just watching the game on the TV. You are having your own assessment sitting in a different room. Then you walk out, you're sometimes far better off in dealing with pressure. That's what I've seen. I mean, even the teams that we used to, sometimes a lot of people, even we have seen MS Dhoni, we have seen a lot of people sit inside the dressing room. So,
in fairness, if this was a high stakes game, maybe batters have that method. But is there a possibility that today at halftime, complacency is a word that comes to mind, like, oh, okay, Quinton can hit this, Rahane will do it, Rahane will get out, doesn't need to review, I'll save it for the batters, we'll get this done. Venki goes to sweep, Rinku's there, Ramandeep is there, Russell's there, suddenly nobody's there.
I was going to ask as well, this might be a ridiculous question, so correct me if I'm wrong, but with the situation they were in, needing 50 in 12 and a half overs, might net run rate have come into their thoughts where they're thinking, let's get this done quickly rather than
I know
actually
the commentary
win
brought
the
it
game.
up. The commentary said if 14.1, they chase this down, they go top of the table.
Yeah, and you sort of almost forget to win the game.
I don't think it's a ridiculous question.
no, I don't think so.
It's not a ridiculous question. It's
No,
a very good question.
It's a very good question, because people do discuss that, and generally you think about the run rate once you have a good start. I mean, that's been the norm. I mean, in the teams at least that I've played with, it's never the first thing that comes to mind.
Correct.
So I feel I don't think they would have gotten to that discussion yet.
I have
the way they were losing wickets.
I have a follow-up question for you. Who do you think is likeliest to bring up net run rate in 14.1 overs from all the coaching staff in the dugout? Which role do you think will bring it up? Head coach, batting coach, mentor?
Very good question.
Or the analyst?
Very good question,
This is why our game is so special.
Yes.
Because how many ever stats you have, whatever you might think, it'll always surprise you.
Yes.
See, that's the beauty of the game that we are
I love
involved
it.
with.
I love these. Bish, you were going to say something. Sorry.
I was going to say, to Matt's excellent question for you at home, at 62 for 2, what over was that?
That was the eighth
I think.
over when Rahane fell.
We always say, I certainly always say on commentary, because I talk about net run rate a lot, and I'm always saying, even with the chase the other day with KKR down at the Chepauk, get yourself in a position first to win the game, and then you'll be thinking about finishing it quickly. So to your point about complacency, you get to 62 for 2 and you're probably thinking,
Yep, we've got this.
we got this. 1 wicket falls, we still got this. And then after 2 more wickets fall.
Then it's only fair that we talk about the Punjab Kings' skill as a bowling unit. Kane Williamson was with us earlier in the tournament, And he said that season, when Sunrisers defended 117 at Mumbai, in a team that was built on the back of great Indian fast bowlers or great bowlers with Rashid Khan as your spinner. He says, I told them every game that we have the bowling to defend anything, right? So forget the language of batting today. But in 2018, Kane said, my talk to that team was, we will have the bowling to defend everything. I don't know if every team goes at the auction wanting to spend as much on multiple bowlers or get those many match-winning bowlers. So, Janssen, 3. Arshdeep, 1 important one at the end. Chahal, 4. This is one of the teams that can actually defend a below par score or a well below par score.
I was just
That's
thinking
my
the
point.
same.
So this is a vindication of a team with good bowlers. Let's talk about how good the bowling was. Or we can't praise them too much because then no matter how good the bowling is, you should chase 112.
I think on that surface, you are expected to chase that score down, however good the bowling was. And I think it's a bit of both. They've really bowled to get wickets today, and they've bowled well. I wouldn't take that away from them. They've bowled brilliantly, but KKR also batted very ordinarily.
We were talking at the break, Matt and I, about that Sunrisers bowling heavy team. This is a good bowling attack. I wouldn't say it's a spectacular bowling attack. Remember, Lockie Ferguson didn't play today.
Yeah, okay.
So I think it's solid. I see this team as more of an aggressive batting team
Sure.
who can bowl relatively well. So I want to give the bowlers credit, Yuzvendra Chahal and Marco Jansen, I think has to be using the new ball from now on. Xavier Bartlett offers them something. But man, if you don't chase 111
It is like
run out.
standing under a tree and a lightning strikes you. That's how it is.
I'm sorry, Kane is my guy. Kane is my guy, but you can't tell me that you're going out there to defend 117 or whatever.
However, I will still try. And here's what I'll throw at you next.
Okay.
Captaincy. It's one thing to think the game is done at 62 for 2 for either team. But when Chahal got 1, I don't know if again this is credit to Shreyas Iyer, the captain. Maybe you're right, Raidu. He had no other choice. But I can think of enough captains that wouldn't even have thought of slip, silly point, close in fielder.
Leg slip at one point.
Leg slip. So how much credit there to at least be aware of the possibility of an improbable win?
See, I think the best part about having a young captain and a young team is you haven't seen the scores being chased down in 10 overs, 8 overs, and then you don't have that positivity and you're always thinking, when will this game get finished? Yeah. But these guys were there, they believed. Once they got 1 wicket, 2 wickets, 3 wickets, and then there's that energy. And Shreyas definitely has captained well. But
I take the end of every point. Say you have to chase.
But on a day like that, on a night like that, it is more than captaincy. I mean, it is...
The opposition has to do you a huge favor.
Yeah, huge favor. And even everything has to be loaded
I think
for you.
Dish.
To defend that.
Rannock's point, though, to be fair to Rannock, is that there's a totem pole of important things. And you'd put KKR's faulty batting, let's say, at the top of the totem pole. But you got to have Shreyas' leadership up there. Because I've seen captains just sit back
And wait for the game to end.
and probably say, well, let's take this as deep as we can. And that's why I keep saying, and nobody at home would agree, but I think Shreyas is a good captain.
Yes, he is.
Wherever Shreyas has gone, and I keep saying it, since he took over from Gautam Gambhir halfway through the Delhi Capitals 2018,
No.
he's made teams better.
I've known the best of captains. They wouldn't have taken this course seriously. Trust me.
Right.
Yeah. But this guy did. Ponting does.
Yes.
Ponting would never give up. So that's a great combination that they have going.
Yep.
But only if they don't change their players as often as they do
Right.
and keep it constant, I think they'll get a lot of success in the IPL.
I can understand and I respect why you've been unusually quiet on this show. If you have something to add before I take viewer comments, which are pouring in, more comments than runs today.
No,
the game.
all I'll say is because of the fact we've mentioned it already, I will address the left-hander Chahal situation.
Go on then.
What I'll say is I don't think any analyst would ever say this guy cannot bowl two left-handers. I think in the previous games, maybe I can see the logic of maybe he wasn't the best guy for a situation, given players that were in, given conditions. But I think what Chahal did tonight that for me was so impressive was toss the ball up, and as these guys have said, bowl attacking lengths, try and take wickets, think constantly about how he was going to get the next wicket rather than the easy thing to do of let's defend, let's bowl full and wide and try and get hit for one and take the game deep.
I think even the stats have to evolve, saying that for a flighted ball, these are the number of runs that go. For a flatter ball, these are the number of runs that he gives against a left-hander, rather than just putting out a stat saying that this is how he bowls against left-handers.
They always need context, because at times I know that Chahal or even a Hasaranga has been criticised on a day where a batter's got the wood over you and he's taking you down 1-6, second 6, and you need to get out of the over and you toss one more up and you toss another up, and that over that could be checked out at 13 or 14 ends up giving 20. That's what the team doesn't want. So on those days, the bowler's attacking instincts are to the detriment of what the game situation is. Whereas today, like you rightly said, the clarity came for the bowler. There's no way they're winning this unless they bowl attacking balls and hope that KKR miss more than they hit.
The best players, to Raidu's point, and he keeps preaching this like a pastor from a pulpit, assess the situation. And that goes for bowling too. And on that day, the best bowlers will assess the situation differently for its requirements. And on a day like today, do it differently. So it's not just batsmen that have to assess situations.
I'm disappointed that you chose pastor instead of bishop.
Ask the viewers' comments.
Viewers' comments. Come on in. DOF says winning by 16 runs is an innings win on this pitch. I think we've established this is not, this is clearly a very fair, good wicket, and anybody who's not watched the game and is catching the score, hopefully on ESPN Cricinfo, would say, oh, must have been a minefield. Wasn't, right?
It was not.
It was not.
I think there was some turn. There was some grip,
There was
but
turn.
it's obviously not a 200.
Which is of course terrible. We must never have any turn.
Yeah. I'm definitely not saying it was a 110 game.
God forgive us if we get some turn.
Or swing or seam. Or bounce.
What a thrilling match. Yes, what a match. Lots of what a matches. Just shows, Varun says, just shows why test batting is such an important skill. Also, Ajinkya not taking the review might have costed them the game. Okay. Hanish says, when Bish said, I don't know how KKR is going to lose this in the mid-show, something felt like this could happen. All right, he's just having fun. Who writes these scripts, says Rachit Garg. Shreyas against KKR. Bad batting performance from PBKS, but KKR did it was just crazy. Yeah, I think the emotional side to Shreyas Iyer getting the win in this fixture, for whatever might have gone down, whether the player rejected a retention or the franchise went in a different direction, whatever it may be, but I guess this would be a very satisfying night for Shreyas Iyer, wouldn't it, Raidu?
Of course, I mean, obviously he has put in his heart and soul in the previous year when they won the championship, and then I don't know if he was let go or he went away. It would have hurt. It would have hurt him a lot.
Yeah. Sorry, please.
I mean, sitting at home and playing well for India or whatever it is. He may even came out and gave a statement that people didn't recognize his efforts.
Yes.
So he felt it. And today I don't think it was a payback as such or anything.
Yeah, it
he has that composure as a person and as a captain. That is why I feel, Sir here has said he's a good captain because he has the composure. He has the clarity and he's a good person. So I don't think it's payback. At least in his head.
Fair enough. Matt, you can take this one.
Oh no.
Manu says, we feel there are big brains in IPL teams, but we are better than them.
Who's we here?
The fans. He's speaking on behalf of fankind.
Has he nominated himself for that role?
Anyway, it's the game, man. It's the game. It happens. That's what makes the game beautiful. I like what Raidu said. What else do we have? Couple of comments on Andre Russell. Russell should have won this game. Russell should have taken them over the line. Or on the other hand, Russell tried his best. He was dejected. He ran out of partners. Russell?
He would have liked to have taken them over the line. But when you're batting with number 10 and 11, I don't think you can apportion so much of the blame there. The guys who were at the top and coming through the middle should have won that game clearly. But Russell will be disappointed, and he should be disappointed that he didn't manage to perform a rescue act.
I'll just perhaps go down to batting right at the end. The game is now, it's not a balls and runs equation. So when he decides to take on the aggressive shot versus not taking on the aggressive shot, only Russell can make those calculations there, right? And whether 17.1, the final delivery of the game as it turns out, or rather 15.1, Janssen bowls, how do you describe that? Length, just about a length ball?
Hard line.
Short of line.
Short of a length ball.
Hard line.
And he could block until he feels like it's there to hit. And if at all, perhaps Russell, this would have been such a great story for Russell, who's had such a underwhelming season because he's been batting too low and et cetera, et cetera. But, you know, at that situation with all his experience, would you have still wanted him to choose his shots better? Because he did that well against Chahal, I think, to a large degree,
Yeah.
didn't he?
Well, he made his choice. He probably anticipated that it was going to be short of a length or even shorter than that.
Right.
And he was never going to give himself much more than beyond this over for Anrich Nortje to be on strike. I mean, you could tell it was coming. So, and again, that could be pressure as well. He made a choice and he died by it today.
I actually wonder how your point of him not having done much this season might be quite relevant. I think he'd faced 20 balls in their first 6 games. So to then suddenly get thrown into this situation where he's the only recognised batsman left, batting with number 10 and 11, it becomes that much more challenging, presumably, when you've not faced any balls in the season.
See, if he was in form, he would have taken down Maxwell in that first 2 balls that he has faced, because he has flighted the ball, he has defended them. If that was the Russell that we all knew, he
was
would have
one of
hit him for
5.
at least 1 6 in that.
Yeah.
In those 2 balls.
But he was trying to give himself a few balls
Few balls.
And he had every right
and
to.
trying to be responsible.
No, he did an honest effort. So, you know, you can't be too harsh on
I
him.
wouldn't be too hard on him.
All right, fair enough. Lots of us saying let's go back to Rahane's dismissals or Rahane changed the game, not taking review. We've addressed that. Sunrisers fan is saying you did not speak about the KKR bowlers during halftime. Said you'll bring them up after the match. Hope you remember that. I believe the landscape has shifted since, but okay. Let's give Varun, Narayan and Harshit. Harbish brought up Harshit Rana and said how good he was. They would have thought there's no way we'll be required second innings. We can all take an early bath or.
I think they've given 20 runs over par.
Who was the guy that said I spoke at halftime? Who was your comments guy there?
I can go back and find his name, and if you want, I can use my intelligence and find out his address.
No, I don't. I think he's absolutely right, actually.
I tell you what, I reckon Varun Chakravarti is gutted having bowled 2 for 21 in his 4 and then been subbed out and looked at everyone else thinking, come on guys, I've done my bit.
Wait, at least he didn't have to bat. Vaibhav Arora had to come and face 7 bouncers of Janssen, keep his gloves and head out of the way.
I think he's absolutely right. I mean, this was one of the times where I always leave room for error, but at the halftime there, I felt if KKR don't win this, then, I mean, no, you can imagine how those guys are feeling in that dressing room there right now. 111, they cannot win 2 games on the trot. What is going on with KKR this season? They win one, they lose one, they win one, they lose one. That's not a good roller coaster to be on.
Okay.
I'm not even going to mention Moeen Ali.
What do you know to mention?
Moeen Ali.
There is some of that.
It'd have been
He
a
would have
calm
batted
head.
today.
Yeah.
He said you don't want him batting that deep.
You wanted him tonight.
That was in jest. Who would he have played for? Anrich Nortje, no?
Could have come in at number 8, knocked him off, easy.
Well, your point stays. Moeen plays, they win. There's one for you to look up. That can Matt confirm if KKR has actually been all out more times than any of the other teams in the last few years? That's a strange one. I don't know. If you feel like indulging, you may, Mr. Roller.
Give me a minute.
Someone's having a go at me, saying you're far away from being a cricket expert, calling it a good batting surface midway. Okay, I'm not. It was a good batting surface.
Of course it was.
There you
It
go.
was not a bad wicket. I mean, definitely 170, 180 was on.
It wasn't as good as the 2 that I did at Molampur, which were sort of like really batting friendly. There was a little more grip in this one, but it's not a 111 surface.
Okay, what else do we have? Lots of Yuzi love. And I can confirm Yuzvendra Chahal has been named player of the match, which I guess is only fair. Anything else that we want to quickly wrap up? There's so many, so many people talking about Shreyas's captaincy and praising him. What will Chandu sir say to the team today?
I think you should know better. He was your coach.
I've said the story many times off air that he
He
identifies talent very
I
well.
honestly hope he doesn't say anything tonight.
Yeah.
Think about it for a day and also not say anything the next day. Because things like that happen in this sport and you don't put logic to that. You just leave people alone, give them confidence and let them not get into a shell is what you're supposed to do. I mean,
What I would say to the young guys, if I could speak to Raghuvanshi and those guys, we always said it in the dressing room for different formats. When you have a chance to win the game, don't leave it for anybody else to do because these sorts of things can happen. So I think that's one lesson that they should be reminded of.
and also if you look at Raghuvanshi's wicket, sir, today, it was a flighted ball. You're supposed to use your feet on a slowish track when the ball is flighted, go to the pitch of the ball and then try to hit it over covers or hit it over the bowler. There are small little areas where people can go back into the off season, work on their game, come back better the next year. Because every surface is not the same. It all just does not skid on every surface. So I'm sure he knows. His coaches will talk to him.
Yeah.
Okay. Very quickly, KKR have still not strung 2 wins in a row. And on the other hand, questions on how this kind of win can increase confidence and self-belief in a team. I believe Ricky Ponting has just spoken and said, this might just about be the best win I've ever had as coach.
Didn't he win an IPL final with MI? That's a big
Wow.
Ponting.
Didn't even an IPL final with MI, as Matt rightly points out. But let him decide. Yeah.
You're number 2, Roddy.
Wow, okay. And it's not like
Yeah, you were in that MI team.
No, but I mean, mid-season, someone calling it the best
Let's just say that's
win of his
emotion.
life.
Most dramatic
maybe
moment.
it's
In the
just
moment.
emotional.
it's a great game for the IPL, I tell you that. I mean, the eyeballs that this game would have, and the feel good from Punjab supporters and the tension coming down from both sides there is good for the tournament.
Also great to have the variety after a load of really high scoring games in a row.
Yeah, I think that is echoed in the sentiments of the comments as well, that it was great to watch this after just watching the roads that we saw. Thrilling game, no doubt. This is good from Shivang. I'm glad you brought it up. I saw umpires checking the bats of new batters coming in. Never seen this before in the IPL or cricket in general. Is there a new rule? Why do this for every incoming batter? Will they do this for every incoming batter in the future? Yes, I can tell you that it's actually something they've implemented midway through the season. Given that this is normally a practice before the game, we don't see it on camera. But we started seeing it because I believe there were some concerns about the bats that have been checked not being brought in, and certain bats were not fitting that the instrument that's used to measure them. But it's a good rule and it's been around for a long time, but we're now seeing it done in the game itself just to check things out.
Yeah, I think they've checked all our bats in the dressing room. They used to, but now they're doing it on the ground because some people are supposedly hiding bats. But I don't see any bat maker making bats that are not going through the gauge at least. It's the bat maker that I used to play with used to measure the bats before sending. But best thing they can do is when the batter sits in the dugout, the bat that he's supposed to use, if the umpire can check it there, it makes more sense because the batsman is focused on a lot of other things when he's walking in.
So I'd like to believe there are so many bats in the dugout, right? It's hard to keep track.
No. I mean, you can ask which bat you're going to take in when you're going to
then
play.
there-
But it can always change.
There are change of bats.
You can have 2 or 3 bats and then he can check all of them. Because once you're walking in as a batsman, I mean, I wouldn't like someone stopping me and checking my bat. My whole momentum is gone. My mindset will change.
Interesting.
My rhythm will change. So as a batter, you have a routine when you walk in. So you don't want to disturb that routine.
They've done it for a couple of years now in county cricket, and a couple of players have been penalised. Their teams have been docked points for having a bat that didn't fit through the gauge. I think they, in both cases, have blamed the manufacturers. They've got the specifications slightly wrong. And there was a big sort of 30-page tribunal document that came out last year when Essex were docked some points for it. So There is some recent precedent, but
Why are you taking so much pleasure in this, though? Smiling
you
right through it, like they've docked some
but
points.
if I-
it's
if
just
can add-
bizarre. I think
it's
it's
bizarre.
you know.
if I can add this on the show, I've been a very good student of bat making. The width of the bat does not really matter because it's how much you press in the bat, how much wood in the bat is actually. It doesn't matter how thick you keep it. You can have the same log pressed into as thin as this.
True.
So it has more wood sometimes. The thinner bats have more wood sometimes than the.
So with the gauge, right? Is it just width?
I think
or
width
is
should
it,
be checked.
Is it's
But
thickness as well on the back of the bat, right?
Yeah, thickness on the back of the bat.
So I know a lot of guys go into factories to choose their own bats to their own specifications. So just from the administration's point of view, there was a situation years ago, I can't remember exactly when it was. The umpires would come into the dressing room and they'd measure the bats, but guys would be hiding the one that they were going out with up on top the locker. And the umpire would have no idea that it's up there. So I can see why the one that you're walking in with, you can't now send that out.
See, even Nokia's bat width was fine, but bat thickness was.
Correct.
I guess it's an I don't like to assume the instrument covers whatever the current law is, and therefore just works. And so that used to happen. People used to hide their bats.
Yeah,
outside.
I heard a story. I heard a couple of stories actually.
Right.
Guys not really disclosing the one that if
You wouldn't remember the year, team, or person.
or minute or name, not for you.
But I know.
But if you would have helped putting it up there. You need a tall guy to hide it. Little umpires like Raidu or myself with that height
but
will never
see,
reach.
the funny thing is, the thinner bats or the slightly medium-sized bats have always pinged far better than the real big ones. You ask any batsman, they will tell you. Most of our best bats were always slightly medium-sized. It was never those big bats.
But isn't that subjective, Raidu, for also how the sort of size and power of a batter? I mean, Aaron Pollard would choose more of a big bat, long handle or whatever than a player of a different height and how they sort of bat, top and bottom hand.
Weights do differ.
Right,
But the
size-
quality of the willow or the size of the willow might not actually
Okay.
matter that much.
I can only attest to your point that you are a very good student of
No, of bat making, not.
bat making.
That's
Well
his
done, Raidu. One of
equipment.
many skills. Ajinkya Rahane has said, I'll take the blame. I played the wrong shot. It was missing. I should have taken the reviews, what I guess he means to say, but it started from there. I didn't want to take a chance at the time. Even I wasn't sure. Wicket was not that easy. 111 was chaseable. We batted really badly as a batting unit. Bowlers did a really good job against a strong Punjab batting lineup. I thought we were reckless, should take full responsibility as a unit. Too many things now going through my head. Very disappointed. Need to keep myself really calm and think about what I'm going to talk to the boys. For Rahane, this is like explosive. I don't think Rahane has ever said...
Keep calm.
He
has to
keeps
keep himself calm.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So he must be furious actually at this win. Doesn't take a lot to be furious.
it's not
These are two
easy.
precious points.
It's not easy to get 2 points in an IPL game.
Yeah. And season is getting tighter. It's getting...
Of course, I mean, this will come back to bite them.
100%. That's why Varun was right to email Ronak and have a go at me. Absolutely right. They should have won this though. You look back at the end of the season, if you missed the playoff by 2 points, and this is the game that, or could be, hypothetically speaking.
Yeah, absolutely. That is pretty much it, gentlemen.
Wow.
Fabulous game. I'm delighted. I think the show's gone on as long as the innings. So let's wrap it up, shall we? Vish, Raidu, Matt, you know how it works. Rapid fire review coming your way. Vish, 30.4 overs, 206 runs, 20 wickets. Describe that game in one word or one line.
It was unexpected, the outcome for me, but at the same time, it was good entertainment.
Did the pitch have demons, Raidu, or was it a poor batting performance most of the night?
I think I would go with the latter.
Poor batting performance, says Raidu. I'll take it back to you, Bish, for this one. Losing with 245 but winning with 111. How would you feel if you were Punjab's bowling coach?
When you bowl on a surface and you get panned at that 245 and you come onto a pitch that is offering you more, you are supposed to be a better bowling unit, because it was such hard work on that one that it forces you to get your disciplines right for this one. So in Rahane's words, they batted poorly, but you still have to give credit to Punjab's bowling to say they were better on this one.
Matt, what will the conversation likely be in the Kolkata dressing room after this collapse? And I'm deliberately sending this to you because I've been reliably told by people in dugouts that Matt is speaking the language of the dugout.
I don't know about that. I think Raidu's right that it should probably be as little as possible, as close to silence for the language of the dressing room tonight. Let the players reflect and have a think about whether you want to say something in the morning.
Raidu, how big a shot in the arm is it for Punjab to have Yuzvendra Chahal in this kind of form?
Absolutely. I mean, things are falling into place for them. On a night like this, if you can pull out a win like that, I mean, going forward, you know you're going to play better cricket than what you have played tonight. So that will give you a huge confidence, and with the coach saying he has the best win of his
He laughs all the time. I don't
who
understand.
has won World Cups, who has won IPL championships. If he says something like that,
Yeah, he's saying best game as coach.
as coach,
We'll narrow it down to his pretty illustrious coaching career.
maybe he's loving this team.
I think that's
a lot.
that's partly for the players as
Players,
well.
yeah, I
He's
think
sending a
so.
message to the players.
It's a white lie. It's nice. We'll all accept it. Great Ricky Ponting. All right. And lastly, all of you can chip in on this. 4 wins and 6 now for Punjab. 2 and 3 at home. This kind of win. Are Punjab going to take this and race to the top 4 now? Are they in prime position for a top 4 finish? Matt?
Don't know about prime position, but I think they're well placed.
No, I today when they asked me for predictions of top 4, I said it's either Punjab or KKR. they have shown that they are more eager.
You
they're
mean
more
this
hungry.
is a huge game where eventually one of these,
Correct.
and this could be the deciding.
This could be the deciding
points.
factor, and I think they are on their way.
Bish?
And also remember that Punjab Kings have only now got to 6 games. Some other teams have played 7. So
Correct.
Had they gone the other way and lost this there tonight, it wouldn't have been detrimental, but they were set them back. They've given themselves a bonus.
That's a couple of games I can think for KKR now. The Lucknow game they would feel they should have won from where they were. This game they should have won from where they were most of the game. I can tell you that Punjab Kings will now play RCB twice. First at the Chinnaswamy and then at New Chandigarh, and then play KKR again. So it's coming quickly. That's on the 26th of April, so it's in just about 10 days' time. As far as KKR go, they're running. Next game becomes so important, and it's not easy. Gujarat Titans.
They're due to win that. Though.
At the Eden Gardens.
They're due to win that.
And then Punjab Kings again. So that's how it is. But there are 2 home games at the Eden Gardens. And I'm sure they'll receive a warm welcome from the curator at the Eden Gardens as well. We wrap it up here. Vish, pleasure as always. Raidu, lovely to have you back. Matt, you as well. Look forward to your company tomorrow then on Maruti Suzuki Arena Presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout. Thank you so much for being part of the conversation. And we're back at it tomorrow. The IPL is just really picking up now.
How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.